Hi, I want to do a little offering on the immune system and breathing and breath holds. Why? Because I'm interested in preventative health, good daily habits, and I'm concerned with this spike in COVID-19 and viruses and inflammation in general. So how it works is the wonderful Wim Hof in his new book speaks about preventative health, breath work, breath holding, and cold water immersions and boosting the immune system. Something I've been interested in for a long time and practice daily myself. And where it gets very fascinating is a Dutch university took him seriously about these phenomena. So they injected him with an endotoxin, or E. coli, a very savage bacteria, which gives flu-like responses, fevers, colds, strong viral factors. And whilst they injected him with this, he did his dynamic breathing with breath holds. So, or and he kept doing these with intermittent breath holds. So when you do strong dynamic breathing, you activate the sympathetic nervous system. So you hyperventilate, you give yourself more oxygen than normal. We've got 95-96% oxygen content in our system, and that goes up, and you reduce carbon dioxide because you're expelling it. Anyway, strong dynamic breathing, hyperventilating, with intermittent breath holds for as long as he wanted to do, or you can do, or say a minute and a half, or whatever. So in a breath hold, you go into from a hyperventilated, hyperoxygenated state into a less oxygen, hypoxic state. Oxygen comes down in the breath hold, carbon dioxide comes up. It mingles with the blood, gives us paradoxically more red blood cells, more oxygen, alkalines our system. Breath holding can also be called the mammalian diving reflex. The longer you hold your breath, that process, decrease of oxygen in the body, increase of carbon dioxide coming up in the body, eventually wanting to breathe out, hits the spleen, and the spleen contracts and makes hemoglobin, which is the oxygen carrying capacity of our blood. Okay, so he goes from hyperventilating to hypoxic, doing this dynamic, strong breathing. And he doesn't get sick. He doesn't get ill. They think this is a one-off, so he goes off and trains 12 people, and they come back and they do it again. And the same response happens. So the magic of this progressive university in Holland, it's in his new book, which is terrific. So, without the specifics of it, was they measured and took blood samples. And in our blood, we've got blood proteins called interleukin 6, 8, and 10. And interleukin 6 and 8 are the inflammatory protein. So inflammation is very big for us if we eat badly, if we live badly, lifestyle choices, we get inflammation. We get inflammation when we get ill and sick. Okay, so interleukin, a blood protein, interleukin 6 and 8, the inflammatory response. What happened with dynamic breath work and breath holds was interleukin 6 and 8 was suppressed. And interleukin 10, which is the anti-inflammatory blood protein, increased. So we can see what happened here. They were flabbergasted. Everyone was flabbergasted. And obviously everyone who believed in preventative health and breath work was pleased, no other than Wim Hof himself. I think he mentioned crying about this because he'd been banging on to the medical fraternity for years and years and years. One university took him seriously and they did the test. So he and his 12 subjects staved off a very, very nasty bacteria with virus-like symptoms, flu-like symptoms. Now, the drugs in our pharmaceutical, medicinal, Western system, which is absolutely fabulous, and sometimes these things are necessary, and it's a modern marvel of science, Western medicine. Let's not get us wrong. Certain vaccines have worked and all these kind of things. The drugs that are administered for autoimmune diseases and rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation, chronic inflammation, sickness, do the same thing. They work on interleukin 6, 8, and 10. Okay? So what am I saying? I'm just saying, and what am I offering, that breath work, yes, I do it. You can see my little links, etc., classes. You know, you either pay or it's a donation, etc. Breath work is very helpful in preventing the flu, sickness, viruses, alongside cold immersion. That's what I'm saying. Why am I doing this? Because I'm interested in it and I care about it. And I also studied it. I did a sports science degree, so I've always been fascinated in this. And then I used to get very, very sick every winter until 4 years ago. I used to get chronically sick, 4 or 5 terrible flus. And then I started breathwork practices with real seriousness and cold water immersions with real seriousness. Now, I'm into preventive health, etc. So I'm offering, as a piece of advice in these times of COVID, flu, inflammation, worry, fear, stress, that there's an options breath work. The great man himself, Wim Hof, has used these techniques. They're also called Tumo, from ancient Chinese practices. They've been around a long time. They're effective. I think he says 4 rounds of 40 in the morning. I would say 3 times a day. Anyway, it's interesting that we can take charge of our health, get healthier, stave off many colds, flus, and viruses by eating well, exercising well, cold water immersions, breathing, breath work, etc. So I'm just putting it out there. So thank you to him and the progressive people in the Holland University for doing those studies, etc. Thank you for listening. Have a good Christmas, have a good New Year, have a good year, etc. Maybe we'll see you around. Yeah, breathe, dynamic breathing. Good for your immune system. Nice to see you. Okay, see you people, bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.